Good morning, guys. Welcome to Fishful Thinker. I'm Chad LaChance, and I appreciate you joining us. You have caught me standing in a beautiful setting yet again here on Fishful Thinker. This time we're in Michigan Reservoir in State Forest State Park. We're in north central Colorado. We're surrounded by fish, trout of all sorts that are rising and that are chasing, and so we're gonna have us a good time with that. But State Forest State Park is an exquisite place to fish, to hunt, to camp, to hike, to horseback ride. It's a great place, 71,000 acres of public property. A fantastic place here in Colorado. So stay tuned, get comfortable, guys. This ought to be a fun show.
Fishful Thinker Television is brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. Peterson Toyota and Toyota Trucks, moving forward. St. Croix Rod, best rods on earth. Berkeley, catch more fish. Abu Garcia, for life. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors. And Colorado Parks and Wildlife.
We're starting off with the spinner strictly because it's very cold out here this morning. It's only 35 degrees when we got out of the truck. And I really just didn't feel like getting all wet. And the spinning rod's a good opportunity to make a bunch of presentations, cover some water, pick off some fish while they're real aggressive, and then we'll pick a spinning or a fly rod up and try some other stuff here shortly. So we're all about opportunity fishing here. The way they're slapping the surface tells me they're probably getting emergers of some kind. Hard to say for sure. But we're gonna find out here shortly once it gets warmer out. We're here 2 days before archery season starts for elk. So here in Colorado, so there, got that one. and we know we're not looking for giants here today, guys. This is an opportunity trip. So I've got an ultralight. It's a little St. Croix Trout Series ultralight rod. It's only 6 feet long, 4-pound nanofill and a little size 10. Abu Garcia Aura reel. It stays in my truck most of the time. This little rod does. It's 2-piece, and it's another perfect little bobo, guys. And it's a great opportunity to bring kids out and have them catch a whole bunch of fish up here in the park, or just do some simplistic angling while you're elk hunting. I'll show you exactly what I'm fishing with here, guys. I've got a little 6-foot ultralight fast action 2-piece St. Croix Trout Series rod, and that little rod right there is designed specifically for the kind of fishing that we're doing. There's 4-pound nanofill on here, and then a size 10 Aura S10 reel right there, and then I've got the little 16th ounce Johnson inline minnow spin. The St. Croix rod has got a real light tip on it, so I can throw these very small baits, no problem. It's got a little bit of backbone to it, though. As you can see, it is ultralight powered, so even these little fish are gonna put a big bend in it. But whether we're fishing here in the reservoir looking for these guys that are gonna be anywhere between about 6 and 14 inches, or up in the creek doing exactly the same thing. So we're gonna take a 1-2 approach today. We're certainly gonna throw the spinning rod a little bit more because we're having fun with that right off the bat, but we're also gonna throw the fly rod once it gets a little bit warmer out. So let's see if we can get us another one. The way we're fishing this is about as easy as you could catch fish. I promise you that. There's one right there. There's a little bit better one, it feels like. Oh, that's fun. But you look at that little ultralight. Look how much bend this little trout puts in that ultralight. And so fantastic to be able to just catch him one after the other. He comes coming around right there. Beautiful little trout. And you can see the weed growth in here. Significant amount of weed growth in this pond that I'm noticing right off the bat. And I've never been here before, guys. This is the first time I've ever been here as well. So I'm learning it as we go, but I'm finding out that their trout are willing participants here. Come out there. There you go, buddy. Okay, we'll start over here. And you'll notice as I'm fishing in this area, I'm making casts spread out over a whole bunch of space. I'm not making 2 casts in a row to the same little area, and the reason I'm not is just so that the fish don't tune into what I'm doing so much. And I know with these being trout, they're probably moving around a bunch, and obviously there's tons of them here because they're rising all over the place. There we go. Early and often, guys, early and often. And so, you know, I mean, you look at how simple this is. If you're coming up to Colorado, and let's say you're gonna go elk hunting, this is a place that a lot of people come to elk hunt. And do you know why? Because there's a tremendous population of elk right here. Colorado leads the country in the number of elk. And easy, buddy. Keep them in the water for a minute. And I didn't bring a net today, guys, because we knew we were gonna catch a bunch of little fish. And so I didn't really see a need in having to net them. So we're gonna be real careful with everybody that we catch. See you, buddy.
Fishful Thinker Television is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Evinrude, spend more time on the water. Lawrence, find, navigate, dominate.
Oh, there we go, guys. So we got getting rolling on the little 3-weight. We got a little tiny little trout right here, and this is exactly why we brought the 3-weight out here, guys, because when it comes to trout this size, I don't need a great big rod, and I've got them on a little tiny soft tackle wet fly right here, and we'll get this off of here real quick. But the funny thing is Parks and Wildlife stocks these in here by the jillions, and they grow real quick, and they're meant to be tackled by a lot of different people. You know, they're meant to be a put and take kind of fish, and they're just, you know, it's really a good opportunity for all kinds of people in different skill levels to catch a lot of different fish. And that's one thing that we're capitalizing on here, is you catch them in different ways, and that's a key thing, and it makes it fun. Okay, we're gonna make our way over here, and the reason we chose this end of the lake, guys, just so you're aware, is because the inlet comes in over here, and I didn't know anything about the lake. So when I don't know anything about a lake, I always go to either the inlet or the outlet as a good place to start as any. Well, the reason I chose the inlet is because these are trout, and trout love running water. When we drove by and looked at it, you could see this big flat, and I know that trout like to feed on this big flat that we're out waiting on. I mean, I'm out pretty good ways from the bank, and if I got down at the other end, and you can see the dam down there, if I got down to that end of the lake, the banks are much steeper and don't give me as much room to work. Oh man, I can tell you what, dude, it's always fun to fish in a place where you're gonna get tons of bites, and so far this morning we've been fishing for about 20 minutes and we have caught a bunch of fish. Now this is a good size one right here, guys. Putting pretty good bend in that 3-weight, and he's still throwing that little soft tackle wet fly. I'm not trying to outthink this. Just something that looks more or less realistic and moves along just under the surface where these fish are feeding. As you can see, the water's only not even knee deep anyway, so I don't need any depth. That's a good size one there, guys. He's putting a good pull on here. Oh man, that's fun right there, guys. That's fun. It's a little 3-weight rod, and I've got a 7.5 foot 5X leader on here. I didn't even tie a piece of tippet on it. I just tied straight to the end of the tapered leader. And there he goes. Come on up here, buddy. Come on around here. Come on around over here. Come on over here. There you go. Come on around over here. We don't want you in all my line here. Come on around right there. Beautiful fish. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Whenever I'm fishing the still water like this, I try to watch for fish. I just saw that one rise and threw the little wet fly over there and got him just like that. Sometimes it almost feels like cheating, but I can tell you what, it makes up for all those times the fish are actually hard to catch. It's kind of funny. But you know, like I've said already, I think this morning, elk season starts 2 days from now. I mean, literally we're here on a Thursday and elk season starts Saturday morning. Come here, little guy. And there's going to be a bunch of bow hunters cruising around in here looking for elk. But you know, the funny thing is, if you're coming from out of state to look for elk, and a very high percentage of you are going to come from out of state to look for elk here in Colorado, keep in mind that your out-of-state tag comes with a fishing license that's valid during the time you're elk hunting. So if you're staying in one of these camps right here and hunting out-of-state Forest State Park here in Colorado, you can bring a fly rod or a spinning rod and you can go out and catch a whole bunch of fish. Got him. As long as you put it near a riser, you're going to get a bite. And then the question only becomes, can you execute? Oh man, that's fun right here, guys. And these are little rainbow trout. Colorado's famous for these. We go through lots and lots and lots of these out of our hatchery system every year. They stock them pretty much all over the state. If it can hold trout at some point in the year, they stock them. Colorado Parks and Wildlife does a great job of stocking those guys. But one thing that Colorado has is a very high percentage of places that you can go catch trout. And I recommend you do it because you can laugh. You know, people in the South, they've got panfish. They can go catch bluegills and stuff like that. Well, we may not have the best bluegill fisheries in the country, but we've got some fantastic trout fisheries, whether they're little tiny stalker rainbows like these. There you go, buddy. or great big, you know, more wild fish or whatever. But I want to point out also, guys, that the access here in State Forest State Park can be as diverse as you want it to be. You want to hike 8 miles into the Raywald Wilderness? Fine, you can do that and catch cutthroats this big. If you want to park your truck right there and walk out here in the middle of the lake and catch these, you can do that as well.
Fishful Thinker Television is brought to you by Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors. Peterson Toyota and Toyota Trucks, moving forward. And Colorado Parks and Wildlife.
All right, here we go, guys, and you can see we got another one hooked up right here. And I want to point out real quick that my tundra's right there. If camera looks up there, you'll see that my tundra's right there. And that speaks to the access that's available to you. I mean, we're in a place that you can get extremely remote, but you can also get extremely good access. And this is a beautiful little rainbow right here. Easy, buddy. That way we don't even have to get him out of the water. I'll show you my fly. Everyone always wants to see the fly here. It's a little soft tackle fly right there. It's kind of an olive green color. It's all slicked down here. You can see it's got a little partridge soft tackle on it. And so size 14, I've got it on a 5X tip at 7.5, or 5X leader, 7.5 feet long. And this is a 4-piece, 7'9", 3-weight Avid fly rod. I absolutely love this rod. It's been one of my favorite rods for a long time. For fish like these, the size of these fish we're catching, the size of the flies we're throwing, it's hard to beat something like this. I've got a little tiny, super light reel on here. The overall system weighs next to nothing. Oh, one after the other, after the other. I'm actually walking to the bank and I saw one rise right here, right in front of me, and slapped the fly down. It hit the water and he smoked it immediately. And I know they're not rising to anything anywhere near this big or even this color, but they're opportunistic fish. Somebody out there is going to say, well, why don't you put on what they are rising to? Well, because what they're rising to is about a size 22 or something. I mean, it's little tiny. And if I can get them to go on a bigger fly like this, I can handle them easier. My overall rig is just easier to deal with in general. And these fish, as I keep saying, are just opportunistic feeders. They'll bite a lot of stuff if you just present it well. And what I'm doing is overpowering them with motion. So I slap the fly down, gets their attention when it hits the surface, and then I can just move it just a little bit just to motivate them enough to bite it, and that tends to work real good. Oh, one after the other after the other. Guys, I'll tell you what, I think it's probably time that we get up in the creek here and see what's going on, because I think you get the idea. You can go along here with an inline spinner, like the little Johnson minnow spin or a little soft tackle wet fly, but you don't have to outthink it. I'm not matching any hatch. I'm just being quiet as I walk, making good presentations to fish that I see rising. That's basically the whole shooting match, and you don't have to get crazy with it, and that's part of the charm of a place like this. If you're learning to fly fish, you can't beat a better spot than this. One thing I've told people for years, learning to fly fish in the river can sometimes be worse than learning to fly fish in the lake, because on the river, everything happens on the river's time. The water moves your line. Here, it's strictly up to you as to when you cast and how you cast and all that. And there's another beautiful one. See you, guy. I think on that note, though, we're gonna get in the river, and speaking of stuff happening on the river's time, I think that's gonna be a good call here. So, but given that I got a whole bunch rising right here, my inner angler says I need to catch one of them right there. Like that.
Fishful Thinker Television is brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. St. Croix Rod, best rods on earth. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
And I'm just watching the tip of the fly line and watching it drift. And if it drifts anything different, I set the hook. I'm using it as a strike indicator, which means some trout are going to get away from you, no question about it, because they're not going to have it long enough for it to affect the tip of the fly line. But there we go, got that one. Oh, and I'm still throwing the same wet fly, just for the record, guys. I have not changed flies yet. I'm throwing the same wet fly, and we're looks like gonna catch the same kind of fish. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Come here. Hold still. Hold still. Come on now. There you go. We'll get you unhooked here. Beautiful little rainbow. Here you go, buddy. And work the current over. Those things are so amazing in the current. Oh, I missed one. There we go. Whenever I'm fishing in the stream, guys, my lens of choice pretty much all the time is this Costa Green Mirror 580 glass lens. I absolutely love this lens because of the fact that it increases contrast in browns and greens. Hey, come here, come on, hold still. And that means that if you look at this river bottom right here, what I'm looking at is predominantly browns and fish that are green and green all around it. Well, if I can see increased contrast in the browns and greens, it gives me a chance to see what's going on in this pool right here a lot better. He didn't see it. If I can get him, if I can get it right in front of him, he'll get it. Here he goes. No, I missed him. Now he'll get it. Nope. There you got it. Oh, see what I mean, guys? It's really about just getting a fish to notice, notice your fly in a lot of cases. And we're gonna swing him on up here gracefully. Got it. There we go. That one I saw eat. And I'm not using a strike indicator, guys. I'm not a big fan of quote-unquote bobber fishing. It's just a personal preference of mine. So I've got a size 18 pheasant tail on here. And the only way to really know if it's been bit is to pay really close attention to what the fish are doing and what the fly's doing. And so I threw up at the head of the pool. You can see the fly drifting just by watching the leader. And then look how fat this rainbow is right here. This is one of the fatter ones we've seen today. That's a pretty nice rainbow for where we're fishing. Look at these two sitting up against the current right here. I just noticed them. See them under the undercut right there? Two of them. I mean, they're 6 feet from me. They're nosed all the way under that undercut, and I have no idea how I would ever get a presentation in there of any kind. I mean, I don't know how I'd get to them with a spinning rod. I don't know how I'd get to them with a fly rod. You'd have to draw them out of there somehow. I mean, I could get a drift to go in underneath there, but they're literally under that undercut. You can see them right there on the gravel. That's a tough deal. If I curl a fly around, I might be able to get it to drift in there and get them to come out and get it. You need it as close to that bank as possible to get a decent drift. I'm going to use the current to pull my line around there a little bit. There you go, he'll bite this one. Okay, it's going to float right through there. Got him. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's how you get that one out from underneath there. I feel better about that catch than any I've made in a while, guys. And I don't even care if he comes off at this point. He was way under that undercut, and I set that drift up 5-6 feet upstream so that thing would have all kinds of time to get deep for one. Come on over here, buddy. And then get underneath that undercut for two. Beautiful. Oop, he wants out of here. There you go. He's gonna go right back to where he just came from. You can see that undercut, guys. It is very, very small. He just went right back where he just came from. So if the camera can see that, that's where he just was. So I threw the nymph way up there and let the fly line stay static. And as the nymph drifted down and around, I saw the line disappearing in that undercut, and then I just saw the fish move. And as soon as he moved out just a tiny bit, I went ahead and set the hook on instinct, figuring that he probably moved to pick up my fly, and sure enough, he had. You know, what's funny is we're here in August and trying to catch these fish, but the reality of the situation is this is also a Four Seasons area. State Forest State Park's got miles of cross-country skiing and wintertime activities. They do night hikes here. The Moose Visitor Center is here as well. Colorado's famous for our wintertime activities, and State Forest State Park is probably one of the most prime places to take advantage of that because it's reasonably easy access. Oh my God. Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Come here, fish. That was beautiful. You know, it's funny, we keep talking about one good cast and how if you just get real accurate cast, I landed that one right at the front of the pool right there, and this guy just blasted it immediately. I'm gonna air one out a little bit farther up into the current. Oh, dude, you said fish come get it? Got that one, there we go. One got it, I wasn't quick enough to get the hook set. He spit it out and this other guy grabbed it. That is fun, guys. You know, it's fun. I loves me some bass fishing. I loves me some saltwater fishing. I love all kinds of fishing, but a 3-weight and a little tiny mountain stream like there's miles of here. Beautiful fish, here you go, buddy. You can't beat it. I mean, State Forest State Park, 71,000 acres. Let that sink in. 71,000 acres of public property that butts directly to the Raywall Wilderness Area, which is tens of thousands more public property. Elk by the ton. Colorado's got the biggest elk herd in the country by state. Moose by the ton in here as well. We already saw beautiful bull moose this morning. Grouse, deer, all the other things you come to Colorado for, not to mention horseback riding, mountain biking, even ATVs here. Fantastic place, State Forest State Park. You can stay in a yurt, you can rent a cabin, stay right on the side of the lake, you can stay in a remote outpost, or bring your tent and do it that way as well, or your RV. It's a really, really neat place. Go to Colorado Parks and Wildlife's website if you want more information about this area right here. It's an exquisite place to visit. I recommend you do so. We appreciate you guys watching. Join the conversation on the various social media if you would, and otherwise we hope you'll tune in, and we'll see you next week.
Time now for today's best catch, brought to you by Berkeley.
There's one right there. There's a little bit better one, it feels like. So fantastic to be able to just catch them one after the other after the other. He comes coming around right there. Beautiful little trout. I'm finding out that their trout are willing participants here. Come out there. Here you go, buddy.
Berkeley, catch more fish.
This one's gonna get 8. There it goes, got him. Oh my gosh, dude. And trout tend to roam a lot. In still water, they tend to walk around or swim around, walk around. They don't do a lot of walking. Got him. Oh, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back. I saw him chase it. No, maybe not. Oh, all right, that didn't go well. I know that one's hung. Cut. What was I doing? Time out, cut, cut.